Well, hello everyone, it's Kari, and I'm so excited to be here at the Crafter Party weekend with you. This is a great event. I hope you've been having fun. Today I have a new technique to share with you, something that I learned about a few months ago, and since then I've gone down the rabbit hole. This is a technique to use with your rubber stamps. It creates a really cool impression, and it's really fun to use on cards, tags, projects. Today I'm going to show you some of the tricks that I've learned with this technique, and then we're going to make some projects at the end and a card with some of the things that came in our kit. So I have here some wax seal sticks and also some of these little wax pellets, and I also got one of these new wax spoons. It comes with a little candle, and you melt the tea light candle underneath, and this will melt those wax melts right inside. It's really cool. I have been using the wax sticks in the past. You can see that silver one there on the right is used most of the way. We're going to use it up the rest of the way today, and I'm just going to get started. I got these wax melts and this spoon and kit on Amazon, and I'm realizing that this wax is kind of a cheaper wax. You're going to see why in just a minute. And I'm going to compare it to some of these other wax options that you have. You can see that I also have some kaleidoscope powders there on the left side, just waiting for the right time to use them. And I'm going to show you a couple different ideas with these. I mean, what could get better than kaleidoscope powders, rubber stamps, and wax, right? I'm going to be using this stamp set here with some small rubber stamps. I'm also going to be trying a few of the stamps that came in the kit. You're going to see why I always suggest using a smaller stamp with this technique, because I think it does turn out better. I will show you though the results from using some other options. So I'm going to start melting down this wax stick. This is one, I believe I got this one from Michael's. You can find these all over the place. They are really popular right now. It's fun to make wax seals on your envelopes. It's fun to make them for other things. And you can do this right directly on your project if you like. But I like to do them separate on a craft mat and then set them aside to be attached to whatever I want at a later time. That way I know that I have them done perfectly. So I'm just letting this wax melt, and I know this is really boring to watch wax melt. It's better than watching paint dry though, I think, a little bit. And then I'm going to put my this is white rubber actually. I'm going to put my white rubber stamp right into that wax. So here's the one that I melted with the wax melts themselves in the spoon. And for this one, I'm going to use another small white rubber stamp. I'm going to let those dry. Let them cool completely before you try to peel them up, and you'll get a much better result. While we're doing this, I'm just going to burn the candle from both ends here. I'm melting my wax stick. I'm putting more wax melts into the little spoon to melt those up, and we're going to just make as many as we can here so I can show you all the different ideas. You can see this silver one. That one's pretty much done. I mean, you can melt this down in your spoon if you wanted to, but it's getting a little close for comfort, a little too close for me. So I dripped a little bit of that wax there, but look at how cool it makes these wax impressions. That one didn't fully dry yet, so I'm going to wait on that one. But look, I also have a little wax melt that looks a little like an enamel dot there. I'm going to be making some more of those along the way to use. Now, some of you might recognize this red rubber stamp from last year. These are some of the bats that came with, I believe they came with the spider web. And this was before Maker Forte started using their white rubber, which I love. And so I just cut that one out. I'm setting that aside so that I can do some wax techniques with that one as well. And now look at this one. See how the wax sticks just a little bit? This wax is definitely not as high quality. If you get wax sticking, you can always use some clear ink like Versamark or the clear embossing ink on your stamps before you use the wax on them or before you press them into the wax. And another tip is not to press down too hard with your stamp. You just want to let gravity do its work. So you'll see some of them I pressed down, like this one, and it got a little bit smushed, and I don't really love the results of that one. So I'm going to try to just place them on and let them do their job. I'm going to try another color of wax stick here. This is a rose gold color. It's really, really pretty. All you do is you just light the end of that wax stick and then kind of drip it onto your craft mat. You can use a silicone mat or anything that is heat resistant. You definitely want something heat resistant though. These get really, really warm. So I'll let that go while I also melt some rose gold in my spoon there. We're going to try a bunch of different colors, and this is really fun. So once you start getting into the groove, it becomes a little bit faster. Also, once you start trying some of these techniques, you might get hooked like me. I don't know. We'll see. Have any of you tried this before? It's really fun. I'm going to melt now a couple of colors of blues and turquoise in the spoon. I love these colors. You can always mix and match colors depending on what look you're going for. This color is beautiful, and surprise, it matches some of the papers that come in our kit as well. So I think this is going to work out really, really well together. All right, I'm just going to put a stamp on there. I didn't press down. It looked like I pressed down really hard, but I didn't. I just barely placed that on. Now look at this. This one I pressed down too hard and it won't even come apart. I set that off to the side there on the left. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for that one. So here's when I tried the bat on just to see if it was going to work, and it is. So I'm going to do some black wax seals impressions with that bat. I think that's going to look really cool. And then this background stamp that we got in the kit, this background stamp I thought would be really cool for a design on the wax, but it is entirely too heavy. So watch this, I just barely placed that down. I'm not pressing on it, just giving it a little bit of love there. Wishing it some good vibes. And watch when I pull it up in just a few minutes, you'll see. So back to this one where the wax just completely stuck to this. I was a little discouraged because I love that leaf and I didn't want to ruin it. So here's what I did. I decided to heat the wax up just a little bit, and then I took my magic wand and I cleaned it all the way out. And that worked okay. It took a little bit of work though, but it did work. So if this ever happens to you, see I'm just heating it up a little bit. You can do this with rubber. The rubber is going to be fine, but I didn't do it for very long, just a few seconds there, and then I was able to clean it. All right, so moving along, here's what happened with that background stamp. It creates kind of a cool impression, but it pushes down so hard on those lines that it just breaks the wax up. It didn't really work out that great for me, so lesson learned. And what I can do is remelt that wax, break them up into pieces, remelt that, and use it on a later project. So this is guaranteed to be great, because even if you mess up, you can do it over again. I like that kind of project. So you can see I put a little bit of clear sticky ink on there, the clear embossing ink from Maker Forte, and now I'm going to put a little kaleidoscope powder on there. Now this is going to stick to that clear sticky ink, and it's also going to help release it from the wax once we put it into the wax. So it's double, it works double. So as I wait for that black wax to melt, I'm just going to place this in kind of a shape to fit that bat. I might have needed an extra wax melter too, just to make it big enough so you can alter the size of your wax melts just by putting in more or less of those little wax melt pellets. Now see how I'm making our little dots? These are so fun and cute. There's usually a little extra at the end, and I put it back over the flame for just a second so that I can remelt it and then make those little dots. So here I added some gold and white, and it kind of went together with the black. I'm not cleaning out my spoon in between because I figure These are going to be beautiful with all the colors. And now I'm trying that leaf one again. I added a little kaleidoscope powder off camera to that one so you can see how it works this time. With kaleidoscope powder, and I also used the clear sticky ink, and also I used better wax. So lessons learned, right? It does pay. Now you can also add kaleidoscope powder after you've made the wax seals. So here I'm just going to add a little bit to this silver one, but I'm going to turn it to a little bit of metallic looking. So cool. And you can set that with hairspray if you want to, so that the kaleidoscope powder doesn't come off. But I found that you put a little clear on there, it sticks really well. It's so pretty. I love making the metallic looks like this with that beautiful kaleidoscope powder. Now, I don't know which shades I have here. I'll try to list them in the supply list below so you know what colors they are, but some of them I just didn't keep a record of which ones. Pretty sure that one right there was Neptune, and the gold one might be Yellowstone. Now, I'm running out of space on my craft mat, so I do get a little off camera for some of these, but I'll show you all of them in the end. But look how cool that kaleidoscope powder looks when you melt it right on top of the wax. And now I'm making a little bit of a mess here. This gets a little messy. So just so you know, you have been warned, but it is fun. I'm trying that background stamp one more time on another set of wax. Some different colors in there this time, and let's see how it turns out. Now I'm going to add some white melts into the spoon, and this is going to be fun because I've got some glitter here, all different kinds of glitter, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some glitter before we add the stamp to the wax. Look how cool that bat turned out with some kaleidoscope powder in there. So cool. I love how this turns out. Now this was the cheaper gold wax that I got from Amazon. I figured, you know what? I'm going to dress it up with some kaleidoscope powder. So that's really going to make a difference in how these look on the finished product. And you can always add more and add different kaleidoscope powders. Some of them are more sparkly, some of them are darker gold like this one. So it's really fun. I think that one right there was Saturn, if I'm remembering correctly. Now here's this one with the leaf. Look at the back, even looks cool on that one. You could use either side of this one. So cool. And then here's the background stamp. Again, I had much the same problem peeling this up and it tearing because of the lines. I was being so careful too. But this one at least stayed together a little bit better, but I don't love it because there are some holes, and yeah. So I'm going to say use the smaller stamps when you're trying this, or just a small part of an impression that's not a heavy stamp, so it doesn't press down as hard. So here's the white one, and I'm going to add some of this Pebbles in the Sand glitter. This is a beautiful glitter. This has some larger flakes of glitter, like confetti in there. And so I'll show you what that does to your design. I'm also going to try some with some smaller glitter so you can see the results. So this is Clear Skies glitter, specialty glitter. And this one, again, I got a little off camera, but I'm going to show you the results in the end. This might have turned out to be my favorite. So see how I'm adding a little glitter? You can kind of see that there. Then I add that impression on there with the wax or the rubber stamp. Now look at this one. So this one, I did get a little bit of a hole in the center, but you won't be able to see that in the end. See how there's a little hole there? You can always fill that with a little bit of wax if you want to, but it's so pretty in real life. With the glitter, I just loved it. I love it with the kaleidoscope powder too. They're all pretty. Now I'm going to make a bat that's just black. It's going to be perfect for some of our Halloween projects. So I was excited to do that one. Again, just using all the rest of my wax up for those dots, and we'll use those on some projects too. So just a few more that I wanted to show you, and then we're going to move on to our projects. This one had some white, but it already had blackened, so It's kind of like a gray marble. That turns out really pretty too. Just experiment and have fun. Some of these things are just for, having fun, figuring out what you like the best, what works the best for you on what projects you're making. I love how this bat turned out, and I realize on video you can't see it as well. It kind of just looks like a black blob. I hope that I'm going to hold this up closer to you. I think I am, just so you can see it, because that one turned out to be one of my favorites. The full black bat. It's really cool, and I will use that one. All right, last of the last, I believe. We're almost done with this portion, and just a couple more ideas for you. These will be great for envelopes, as I mentioned. Today we're going to make kind of an envelope pocket for our treats and our cards, and I'm going to show you how I'm using them. I like to use some glue dots or some Zots to pop them up. I think that works out really, really well because it makes them dimensional on your project, not just flat. But you could also use hot glue to stick them down. That works really well too. So I'll show you that in just a minute. I'm just winding down here. I'm going to, I eventually just used all of that candle up, an entire tea light. So I don't know how many hours those tea lights last, but I pretty much used it all. And look at that one. That's pretty with the grays. So this was kind of a long session. I just was experimenting. I think some of these just turned out really spectacular. So preparing for this class, I really did a lot of experimenting ahead of time. I've been working on this for a few months, and I hope you are enjoying this class so far. I know that sometimes when we're demonstrating a lot of things like this that's a little repetitive, it gets a little bit long. So this is my last one, promise. Just making the last of my little dots with the wax. And now look at what we have ended up with. I have an entire collection of these little wax dots. I have so many wax seals that we made with our rubber stamps. And these are going to be super fun to add to our projects. I love that glitter. See that one? There's the bat right there on top. So cool. And look at all of these. Tons to choose from. And if you don't like how they turned out, you can always use your kaleidoscope powder to dress them up, make them a little fancier. That shine really adds something. So these papers that we got in our kit are gorgeous. They've got a metallic shine to them, and I love them. And then look at these ephemera packets. I'm going to cut some of these out for our projects. I think these are going to work out really, really well for using with our wax seals. I love this one with the pumpkin. Kind of looks like a seed packet here. So I'm just scoring across those lines, lining them up with my scoreboard and using my bone folder to score those so it makes it easier to fold. So I'm just going to fold down all those edges. And the funny thing is I end up not using this on our final project, but I really like the look of it. See, and you can just attach that just like that. So it's a seed packet, or leave that top part open. I think that's really cute, just like that. These are cool. So there's a couple pieces. I'm going to cut down a few of these. And what I'm using today is my envelope punch board. And this is going to help to make our pockets. So what I'm doing is I'm following the instructions for cutting out a mini slimline. So I cut down a piece of cardstock to 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and then I scored on the lines where they told me to score, and then I made those lines. Now, if you haven't used an envelope punch board before, I'm going to show you just how to do this. I'll show you on the other colors of cardstock. So I didn't show you on this first one. This is just some Eclipse black cardstock I'm starting out with, and I'm doing an experiment to make sure that this is going to work. So I wanted to use my brand new Snow Flurries white pigment ink on the black. It's gorgeous. Look how well that shines and shows up on the black. It's so pretty. So for this one, I am going to just use some score tape and tape this top panel down to the back. So it's not going to be like a regular envelope. It's going to turn into a pocket. And then these two will go over each other, and then the bottom flap will go up on top so that it doesn't get in the way of anything that you put into your pocket. It doesn't catch on your paper. That's going to just go right over the top. And we will be covering these lines, so you're not really going to know that it's an envelope. It's just going to look like a really cool pouch for our projects. So here's what you do. You just put a little bit of score tape on one of the sides and then tape that to the other side, just like this. Here we go. And then put a little bit of score tape on the bottom portion as well, and then tape that up to over the top of the other two. Well, one thing you want to make sure is you don't put tape where it would tape it shut, tape down, tape it closed to the back portion. You want it to just be on top of the other flaps. So I hope that makes sense. Now I'm going to use some of this gorgeous paper. These are some beautiful Halloween colors, and I thought this looked a little spooky. And so what I want to make sure is that I don't cover up that opening, because that's where you're going to be able to get the project out right there. So we definitely don't want to tape it down to that opening. Otherwise, it's just going to close that shut. So to be sure, I'm going to put my score tape on top of this pouch right here. And then I'll tape the paper right to it. So this is an easy way to make sure you're not going to glue it shut, because knowing me, I might just accidentally put that over the opening. So this way is just so easy. I'll remove all the backing paper to that score tape. This particular one is from scrapbook.com. It works really well. And then I'll go ahead and tape over my paper, trying to line that up so that it is even with the bottom. And then I'll tape that down and then fold the edges over. And now this paper, what the great thing about it is it's just the right length so that it covers the entire perimeter of our pouch here, because we made it a mini slimline size. So I love that. That worked out practically perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and tape these edges down. So this is going to go all the way around the entire flap here. And don't worry, I'm going to show you the beginning of the next one. For some reason, I didn't show you the cutting of the paper and how to score that, but I will do that in just a minute on our next pouch. But I just wanted to show you how this all came together. We are going to make 3 different projects, and for this one, I want to use the bat that we used the wax on. That bat is so cool. And then I also wanted to add a few other bats. So what I decided to do was I'm going to run this ribbon around. Now this ribbon came in the kit. So I'm going to just run this around the pouch and tie that in a knot. And that way I can add that wax seal right over the top of the ribbon. And then I'm going to use a few other bats to finish this off. So I have here some embossing powder. This is the Meteor Shower embossing powder, and it's really cool. And so to stamp these, I took out that foam mat in the Misty because the rubber stamps come on this foam already, so you don't really need that in there. And then I'll take some clear sticky ink, stamp that down a couple of times, and then I'll add the Meteor Shower embossing powder. So this, as I was saying, this embossing powder is really cool. It's silver, it's white with silver glitter. So it comes out kind of glittery and still white on that black. It looks really, really nice. It's got quite a contrast. Now I didn't use my embossing buddy bag on this one, so I had to clean up just a little bit here on the black. And then I'll go ahead and heat set that, and look at how beautiful these bats turn out. I will fussy cut those out, and those are going to look great popped up onto the project. And then of course I'm going to use a few of these wax dots that we made together. I'm finding the black ones, maybe a white one would look great. So there's a couple white ones and a gray one. I'm just kind of trying to figure out how that's going to look. And that it actually really matches that background really, really well. So I'm popping up the bats with some foam adhesive. For this one, I am going to also try to add all the wax with some liquid adhesive. And it actually really worked. I'm even going to add the wax seal with the liquid adhesive to see if that will stay. It works great. But I did add quite a bit of that adhesive. So there you go. So I'm going to add that down just like that. And I will put a acrylic block over the top just for some weight until that dries. Now for the background, I've cut a mini slimline size of cardstock just in white, and I'm using some of that paper right over the top. So this is 3.5 by 6.5, I believe. Yes. And then I did cut down the pattern paper just a little bit so I have a white border all the way around. I'm going to punch a hole in the top of that and add some of the same ribbon that we added before to kind of make a little bit of a bookmark that will slide in and out of the pocket we just made. Look at how perfect this is. So this is going to be great. You can add a message in here if you want to, even on the back side would be perfect to write a message. But for today, I have snacks on my brain. So this is going to become a little treat pocket. I've got here an organic mango fruit bar here from Trader Joe's. I thought this would be perfect. It's orange, it's matching our Halloween theme. I'm just going to add a couple of glue dots here if this will cooperate and stick to my treat, and add that so that can stay right there, and that way it will slide in and out of the pocket. So there's our first treat pocket. This one's Halloween. Now let's go ahead and make one for fall. And I'm going to show you how I did this from the beginning. So I first cut a sheet at 8.25 by 8.25. And then I lined it up with the 3 1/8 inch and punched it, and also made that score line on the right there, you see. Then I line up that little pointer with that score line and do it the rest of the way around. So watch this, punch at 3 1/8, then score, then match that pointer up with the score line, punch it again, and match it up with the score line, punch it again, until all 4 of the corners are scored and punched. And that's how I created this. So super simple. So now I'll just go ahead and, like before, I'll tack down that first panel, and then I will go ahead and score and tape the second panel over just like that. And then this last one will tape on the top of all of those. Just so simple, just like that. Now I decided that that little panel behind where you put the pouch in, it doesn't really need any stenciling right there. It gets covered up by what we put inside anyway. So I wasn't worried about it this time. But I am going to choose some papers. Look at that one. That is my favorite one. I'm going to make one with that for sure. But let's pick out some fall. Let's see. I'm just kind of going through. Sorry, these are a little bit down off the camera. I'm going to lift this up in just a minute, but I'm just kind of going through, picking out some really good fall papers. These are all beautiful. Some of them I couldn't even stand to use, but look, this one with the wheat is so pretty, and I'll use some red gingham and then a couple of the ephemera here. I really like this one. Trying to just decide how this is going to go. That's the leaf wax that we did, but I ended up changing my mind on that one. So it's a work in progress. Now this is the same process as before, adding the score tape to the front, making sure not to cover up that opening so that it doesn't glue that shut, adding the paper, and then also gluing that back down to the back. Now you can use any adhesive you want, any strong adhesive here. You can even use liquid adhesive. It just takes a little longer to dry, and I didn't have the patience for that today, so that's why it's score tape for me. Now I'm trying to decide which side I want to tie that ribbon. I know I want to use this ephemera and then maybe that one, so I changed where I was going to tie this to the left side. We're going to put that just like so, just kind of tying that in a knot. Then I'll trim off the excess here, just keeping small little tails. Then this is where I'll put those pieces of ephemera, and then I'll add that wax seal right over the top. And I'm going to add a little more glitter to that, of course, a little more of the kaleidoscope powders. That'll really dress it up. So this is turning out super cute so far. Now let's do the inside piece. I went ahead and did that off screen. I chose one of the papers that looks the most like fall, and then added some red gingham ribbon to the top of that one as well. For this one I have an apple mango fruit snack from Trader Joe's as well. So I'll show you that. And this is some more mica powder I'm putting over the top to kind of cover up that strange yellowy gold. This will make it a little more metallic looking. It has a little shine to it too, just so pretty. So that's going to be that one, and I did add some other colors, just kind of mixed it up a little bit. Let's finish off the last one here, and I want to show you how you can use this also for a card. So for this one, we're going to make a card. This one is going to be also fall, but with that beautiful stormy metallic cardstock, I thought that blue paper would look so pretty. So I'm going to show you which one I chose here, just closing this one up here at the bottom as well. And this is going to look beautiful right over the top. So this one is going to be more of a minimalistic look because that paper is just so beautiful. One nice thing about all this paper in here is it really does the work for you. I mean, we don't really have to add too much. You can add as little or as much as you want. But I really think that this adds so much. You really don't have to work too hard at all. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Wow. Just line that up. I think it really matches that stormy metallic so great. I'll close up the back here. Just gonna finish off this pocket just so fast. I mean, these would be pretty easy to make multiples of. I mean, I just made 3 here in half an hour, basically, less than half an hour. So that's wonderful. I'm going to use this yellow ribbon, and for this time I'm going to glue it down using my Xyron machine here. I don't know if you've seen these before, but it's a sticker maker. You just put your ribbon through, pull it out the other end, and it automatically makes it sticky on one side. So you don't have to glue it down at all. You can just stick it down. So I just press over that, pull off the top sheet little layer here, and now this ribbon becomes a sticker. So I'm just going to stick that down to the front. I'm going to see where I want to put that seal. The seal is going to cover where the ribbon meets together. Just gluing that down all around. And I'll trim off the excess here so that I can put our wax seal right over the top. So easy. And then I'll add a piece of ephemera. You can add some pumpkins, a leaf cutout would be pretty. Anything you want to add that's additional. I thought this piece of ephemera was just perfection. So I'm going to add that, and of course a couple of the blue wax dots that we made. So I'm just going to pull those out right here, place them around, and then I'm going to put this down with some really extra strength glue dots. Now that's going to glue all of this down at once. So I ended up adding a little bit of liquid adhesive to that ephemera because these are stuck together pretty much now. And then I'll place that down and glue down the ephemera at the same time. And then just place my wax dots just like that. So pretty. Now for the card, I cut a panel to be the size of a mini slimline, so it's 3.5 by 6.5 inches again. So here's the panel. It's going to fit right perfectly in there, but we're going to turn this into a card, so don't worry. So I want to use this plaid paper as the background, and then I've got these papers that we're going to use some cutouts from to make the front of the card. I'm just imagining some pumpkin pie right now, maybe a little hot cocoa or pumpkin spice latte, I don't know. I cut all those out though, and look how cute they are going to be together with that plaid. But first we need a little bit of pizzazz on the back. I'm going to use that same embossing powder. Oh, actually, this is a different embossing powder that I'm using today. This one is the blue, more of the blue embossing powder. It is called Ocean Bubble, and it kind of has that turquoise feel to it. It might have a little bit of white in it as well. It's a really beautiful color. It matches our color scheme. So I thought I would stamp this beautiful background stamp with some clear sticky ink and then put that embossing powder right over the top. We'll heat emboss that, and that's going to add just a little interest to our background here. I only stamped it once, so hopefully I got it good. Nice, because it moved in my MISTI, so I didn't want to double stamp that. But yeah, it looks like we got a pretty good result here. I'm going to have to clean off just a little bit with a paintbrush maybe, but for the most part, a pretty good result. So I'll go ahead, funnel the rest of that embossing powder back in and heat set this. Look at that beautiful blue. I like this stamp set a lot too. It has a lot of really great stamps in it. We're going to use another one for the sentiment on top of this card, but this makes for a perfect background. So there we go. That is just about there. Now look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Okay, so just assembling this all together. As I put this together, I'm realizing that I might need to change things up just a little bit. That looks super cute though, and delicious. I really like how it's coming together. This is the sentiment I'm going to use. It says, but I think I like fall most of all. So that's going to be perfect. I'm using the rest of this paper as the backdrop, so it's the same color. It's kind of like a really light, soft blue gray maybe. So I thought I would just go ahead and stamp right on there so we could have the same color scheme going throughout. And I'm going to heat set it over with clear because this is a slick paper. I didn't want to smear that ink. So if I emboss it with the clear, you're going to get a nice impression that does not smear. Now I'm using one of our rectangle dies here to cut this out, and then I'm going to cut it out once again, just moving it over so that I create the perfect size rectangle for this sentiment. And that's going to work out really great there. So just taping that again and running it through once again, and there we have the perfect rectangle. Now I want to mount that on some Stormy Metallic so that it has a little mat behind it, so that sentiment's really going to stand out. So all I'm going to do for this is glue it down and then trim it with my trimmer, and that's going to work out really perfectly for our sentiment. See, here we go, just trimming it down so we have just a small mat of that Stormy Metallic around there. That's going to have that pop up right over the pie. Then I decided I really wanted a border around this card. So instead of cutting the panel down, because I really liked the size of this panel, I made my card base just a little bit larger using this beautiful red paper that came in, the metallic red. This is the Mercury cardstock, so pretty. I cut it to the 7.5 by 6 3/4, and then I scored it on the long edge at 3 3/4 inches. That will create our card base. Now keep in mind this measurement here is a little bit larger than a regular mini slimline, so it's going to be a little bit snug in our pocket, but I thought it was worth it so I didn't have to cut down my panel and cut down all of those images. I really liked the sizing that it was, so just so you know, I did try it and it fits in the pocket a little bit snug, but it's still doable, and it sticks out just a little bit, but that makes it easier for pulling it out of the pocket as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right on that Mercury metallic cardstock. That's going to fit perfectly, but first I'll take that white piece and glue that to the inside. That will be where we can write our message on the inside of the card. So let me go ahead and get that glued down. Just a little liquid adhesive ought to do it. There we go. Let's put that on the inside of the card, and then to make the outside of the card easier to build, I'm going to go ahead and tape down this card base, that just a little blue tape. That's going to make this easier to put together. There we go. So I'll add this panel right on top, just like this. That beautiful heat embossing on there. I love that color. I love this plaid paper too. Then we've got our pie. I'm just going to line these up first. Pumpkin's going to go there. Our cocoa is going to go right there. This reminds me of Grandma's house right now. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe it reminds me of my house. We have Thanksgiving at my house pretty much every year. And all the kids come, all the grandkids come. So it's really a fun time. So I guess this reminds me of my house now. Look how fun. And we make tons of pies, lots of different flavors. Pumpkin pie is not the first to go. It's the chocolate cream pie. Nobody likes pecan pie but me. So I don't know why. I think that is so good. How about you? Favorite pie? List it in the comments. All right, so I'm just going to pop up the top here and add it with some foam tape. This is the only thing I popped up because I knew that was going to give us a little bit of a problem putting in the pocket and taking it out of the pocket, but it wasn't too bad. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and place that card right in there. And there's our card and our pocket. I really like these fall colors. I like the added blue as well. So there's our card. I'm going to remove that tape now. There we go. So cute. You can also add a pumpkin to the inside if you want to, or any image you want. And so there's our pocket, our last one. I'm going to put this back in so I can show you all the projects we made today. Here's the one with the bat and those different shades, and then we've got the orange treat right in there. You could really put anything that's kind of flat candy bar or anything in there that you would like. There's our apple mango fruit bar in the fall one. And that's going to do it for our class today. I hope you enjoyed all these projects, making these wax seals using our rubber stamps and some kaleidoscope powders and some glitters. I had a really good time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your crafter party. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.